इस वैश्विक महामारी का मुकाबला करने के लिए दो प्रमुख बातों की आवश्यकता है।
Let's pause for a moment. What are the two most important things required to control the spread of coronavirus? I want you to ponder on this question. Well, some of you might argue that we essentially need more testing and contact tracing. You might say that we need to increase our testing capacity, even conduct tests of asymptomatic individuals, and also conduct random tests in containment zone. You will further go on to argue that testing is not sufficient. With every positive test, we have to develop a rigorous method of tracing their contacts, quarantining those contacts, and making sure that they do not spread the virus. I'm sure there are others among you who might argue that lockdown and social distancing are even more important than testing and tracing. The chain of the virus cannot be broken by merely testing and tracing. It can only be done by maintaining social distance and ensuring a lockdown. The lesser people meet with each other, the lesser the possibility for the virus to spread from one person to another. And finally, there might be some of you who might argue for larger structural changes, stating that the virus has revealed the flaws in our overall health infrastructure. You might quote that India spends only 2% of its budget on healthcare. Even in the best of their days, our government hospitals are overcrowded with patients, and the unrestrained pricing in private hospitals has made it unaffordable even for the large section of Indian middle class. And therefore, the virus has shown that India needs to improve its overall health infrastructure. Now let's listen to what the Prime Minister believes are the two most important things to handle the coronavirus.
इस वैश्विक महामारी का मुकाबला करने के लिए दो प्रमुख बातों की आवश्यकता है। पहला, संकल्प, और दूसरा, संयम। संकल्प और संयम।
Sankalp or Sanyam, determination and patience. These are strange ways to control the spread of a pandemic. However, I believe these two words capture the way Prime Minister Narendra Modi structures his speech and uses language. I will call this mode of speech an abstraction. Abstraction literally means the quality of dealing with ideas rather than events. It is a process where you take people away from the immediate practical consequences of an event to a strange abstract language where it is not about the number of testing kits, PPE units or the number of hospitals, but about patience and determination. The abstract terminology is intrinsic to Prime Minister Modi's speeches, and it often presents a vision for the future, such as when he announced
आत्मनिर्भर भारत.
The notion of Atmanirbhar Bharat combines a financial package with an abstract term that appeals to the masses and can seep into their consciousness. In Narendra Modi's speeches, these abstract terms are also combined with other rhetorical strategies. Rhetoric is an old system of knowledge invented and nurtured by dead masters such as Plato, Aristotle and Cicero. It is a way of presenting a speech to persuade an audience. Plato defined it as the art of winning the soul by discourse. The speeches of the Prime Minister use various rhetorical strategies such as repetition and alliteration to win the soul of his audience. Repetition creates a recurring rhythm in his speech, which emphasizes the most crucial elements of his narrative.
संकल्प, संकल्प विजय का संकल्प करके इस संकल्प के साथ
Times repetition lends a mysterious aura to his speech.
रात 9 बजे मैं आप सबके 9 मिनट चाहता हूं.
Whereas at other moments it can seem both contrived and ludicrous.
20 lakhs 2020 में.
Yet the constant repetition of dates, time and keywords creates an internal consistency in his speeches, imprinting the most significant phrases in the minds of his audience. The repetition of sounds or alliteration is another common rhetorical device used in his speeches.
संकल्प और संयम.
While repetition repeats the key words, alliteration repeats the key sounds in his speech.
जान है तो जहान है.
Alliteration lends itself to the most alluring phrases in Prime Minister's speeches, which are later adopted by anchors, news websites and popular culture. These abstract terms have two distinct characteristics. They're both unquantifiable and they refer to individual qualities. Patience, determination, and self-reliance are terms that defy any logical methods of measurement. If the Prime Minister would have announced that we need massive testing, 21 days after the lockdown, we would have the data to show whether India has done massive testing or not. But how can we quantify whether or not India has shown determination and patience? Instead, after 21 days, the Prime Minister came and congratulated us for showing exceptional restraint, penance, and sacrifice during the lockdown.
सभी देशवासियों की तपस्या आपके त्याग की वजह से
Since these terms are unquantifiable, they act as self-fulfilling prophecies. Secondly, these terms also transform political and administrative problems into abstract individual qualities. Determination and patience are characteristics of an individual rather than that of a larger society. When the Prime Minister uses these terms, it seems as if he is personally addressing his audience members, asking them to show determination, patience, and self-reliance. However, these abstract terms also become a way of evading the suffering of people. After migrants had been walking for hundreds of kilometers, the Prime Minister referred to their suffering in the following words.
हमारे जो रेहड़ी वाले भाई बहन हैं, ठेला लगाने वाले हैं, पटरी पर सामान बेचने वाले हैं, जो हमारे श्रमिक साथी हैं, जो घरों में काम करने वाले भाई बहन हैं, उन्होंने इस दौरान बहुत कष्ट झेले हैं, तपस्या की है, त्याग किया है.
Tapasya or tyag, penance and sacrifice. These are positive terms that give agency to people. They're willing acts, such as when an individual performs penance to achieve a higher aim, or when parents sacrifice their desires for their children. Penance and sacrifice are not something extracted out of you. They're not something imposed on you. Would the small kid whose mother passed away because of starvation consider her death as a sacrifice? Would the families of 16 migrants who were run over by a train consider their death as a sacrifice? The term sacrifice evades the political indifference, injustice, and inequality embedded in the system. The sheer apathy and ruthlessness of the state towards migrants who were left to die on the streets or to walk hundreds of kilometers was transformed by the speech into a higher ideal of tapasya and tyag. In order to appreciate Prime Minister Narendra Modi's use of language, we also have to analyze his silence. Silence is also a form of rhetoric, a way of articulating one's absence from a discourse. The primary absence of the Prime Minister has been from the daily briefings on coronavirus. In most other countries, the heads of the state came regularly to address the public, informing the nation about the number of cases and the number of deaths, while also confronting the fiery questions of various journalists. In India, surprisingly, a civil servant named Love Agarwal came every evening to provide statistics about the pandemic. Some people also wondered about the Prime Minister's silence on certain matters. Till the 28th of March, the Prime Minister had tweeted 61 times about the PM Cares Fund and 54 times about lighting diyas at 9 PM. But he had not tweeted even once about the migrants or the testing numbers in India. When the migrant crisis had become an unprecedented disaster and the Prime Minister introduced the financial package, the word migrant was mentioned only once in the speech.
जो हमारे श्रमिक साथी हैं,
Whereas Atmanirbhar Bharat was mentioned more than a dozen times. The word testing did not appear even once. When I mentioned Narendra Modi's silence to a friend, he quickly reprimanded me, stating that our Prime Minister has more important things to do than to hold press conferences every evening. In some ways, my friend was correct, because this absence of the Prime Minister was deliberate and consistent with this image. The Prime Minister can provide us with the abstract ideals of Atmanirbhar Bharat and the importance of determination and patience, but you would not expect him to read out a document about the number of coronavirus cases, the mortality rate, and all such minor practical details. This was also in direct contrast with Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi Chief Minister, who would regularly address people, informing them about the number of patients in a day, the tests conducted, and the hospital capacity, while also laying out a strategy for the future.
कल तक दिल्ली में 36 केस थे कोरोना के, आज 3 और बढ़ गए हैं, आज 39 केसेस हैं कोरोना के.
Arvind Kejriwal in his press briefings looked more like Love Agarwal, the civil servant, and this presentation suited his image of an Aam Aadmi, an accessible Sarkari Nokar dealing with facts and figures. Whereas, the only time Narendra Modi uses data in his public address is when the data is as grand as his demeanor.
20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। भारत में आज हम 1 लाख से अधिक बेड्स की व्यवस्था कर चुके हैं।
Till now, we have argued that Prime Minister's speeches are centered around few abstract terms, expressed with rhetorical flair and juxtaposed with his silence on certain practical issues. However, the abstract nature of his persona goes beyond his words. It is not what he says, but what he is. In order to delve deeper into how abstraction shapes Narendra Modi's persona, we have to pay attention to the most potent rhetorical device used in his speeches: allusion. Allusion is a deliberate and indirect reference to another text within one's discourse. For centuries, allusion has been an integral part of public speeches. In Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous speech, "I Have a Dream," there are constant allusions to the Bible.
I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
Even Mahatma Gandhi used the idea of Ram Rajya to signify political independence from Britishers. Allusion is a way of taking a popular narrative embedded in the minds of your audience and deploying it in a different context. Similarly, for Narendra Modi, the Lakshman Rekha drawn around our house becomes a reminder for social distancing norms.
घर की लक्ष्मण रेखा न लांगी जाए।
The 18 days of the Mahabharata battle transformed themselves into the 21 days of lockdown.
महाभारत का युद्ध 18 दिन में जीता गया था। आज कोरोना के खिलाफ जो युद्ध पूरा देश लड़ रहा है, उसमें 21 दिन लगने वाले हैं।
And the Saptapadi comes to signify the 7 steps taken to control coronavirus.
ये सप्तपदी विजय प्राप्त करने का मार्ग है।
The Prime Minister also has the tendency to quote Sanskrit phrases in his speeches.
एषः पन्थाः वयं राष्ट्रे जागरयाम।
The use of Sanskrit phrases adds grandeur to his words. It establishes a firm connection with tradition. The image of the Prime Minister is shaped by these allusions and his constant quotations from Sanskrit texts. In India, where most politicians are considered to be corrupt and dishonest, where most politicians are endlessly criticized, derided and mocked for their actions, Modi has emerged as an abstraction, a mythical presence within the mess of politics, almost like a lotus that has grown out of the mud. Modi is perhaps the most praised politician in modern India, and his praise is not centered around his policy, but around his personality. It is not about what he does for the country, but who he is as a person.
एक फकीरी है आपके स्वभाव में। ये कहां से आई?
मोदी के भीतर का सॉफ्टवेयर कंप्यूटर से भी तेज चलता है। गुजरे 18 सालों में मोदी ने एक भी दिन छुट्टी नहीं ली, यानी कभी छोटी मोटी बीमारी भी मोदी को छू नहीं सकी। मोदी का फिटनेस फंडा ऐसा है कि डॉक्टरों का दिमाग भी घूमने लगता है।
क्या आप हमेशा से ऐसे ही थे या धीरे धीरे फकीरी आती चली गई?
We have all heard stories about how the Prime Minister works for 18 hours a day and hardly sleeps at night.
सच बताइए, why don't you get tired? आप थकते क्यों नहीं?
As a child, the Prime Minister supposedly brought a crocodile back home, and as a young man, he travelled to Himalayas to perform tapasya. Even if some people are skeptical and cynical about these narratives, they still fail to pluck themselves out of the deep and dense web of mythical narrative constructed around him. Narendra Modi has to be seen as a modern mythical phenomena, created not as much by the person as by the immense network of news channels, social media groups and WhatsApp messages. The myth of Modi is so ubiquitous in India that even people without any strong political affiliations have succumbed to it. However, there are slippages, moments when the persona crumbles into pieces and we encounter the man in all his vulnerability. Let's take one of Prime Minister's glorious interview where he is asked about his poems.
कभी नरेंद्र मोदी से जानना चाहता हूं कि क्या आपने पिछले 5 सालों में कुछ लिखा है?
लिखता हूं, अभी भी लिखता हूं। आज भी मैंने कविता लिखी, शायद मेरी फाइल पड़ी होगी साथ है, काफी रफ है मेरा।
The Prime Minister claims that the poem is rough. Perhaps it implies that it needs more finishing.
अभी तो ऐसे ही टेढ़े मेढ़े सारे अक्षरों में लिखा पड़ा है। लेकिन
अच्छा लोग देख लेंगे, आप दिखा दीजिएगा, आपकी हैंडराइटिंग में दिख जाएगी।
मेरे हैंडराइटिंग अच्छी नहीं लगेगी, लोगों को बहुत बुरा लगेगा।
खींचिए भाई तस्वीर।
It is strange that both the Prime Minister and the interviewer are referring to his handwriting, whereas it looks like a printed sheet of paper. We listen to the long poem, which is honestly quite good.
कल बचाने और बनाने अभी तो सूरज उगा है, तो ऐसे ही अभी तो
पंक्ति में बहुत गहरे।
Finally, we see the page in the Prime Minister's hand for one last time, and let's pause for a moment. It's clearly visible that it's a printed sheet. At the top, in bold letters, there is a question which states, चलते चलते मैं कवि नरेंद्र मोदी से ये जानना, and then some words are missing, कुछ लिखा है क्या? And at this moment, it dawns upon us that the entire interview has been scripted and staged for the audience. It is at these moments that the veil slowly slips and we see an extremely cautious and even paranoid leader constantly striving to structure his image. It is at these moments that we encounter the mirage that maintains the myth of Modi. If you like the video, press the like button, share your feelings in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel.